y'all. Welcome back to Mamapologist. I'm here today with a really special guest. This is Jennifer. You might have seen her on Instagram. She goes by the Mamapologist. And so when I saw her name, I was like, this is perfect. We need to talk because we're basically doing the same thing. So I'm excited to talk to her today, and we'll go over some questions and try to answer some of those hard apologetic questions that we get from our kids a lot. So anyway, go ahead, Jennifer, tell us about you. How did you come to know Jesus?
I'm Jennifer DeFrates, and I'm the Mamapologist. I also write a parenting and marriage lifestyle blog at Heaven Not Harvard. So that's kind of where I started getting into public ministry. Yeah. I became a Christian when I was 6 at Awanas. And then I went to public school and public college and got pulled away by all the intellectual arguments against God because I didn't know that there were answers. So I say I became a Christian when I was 6, but it took till I was 38 for God to really start walking me back to like a serious faith. I was never able to just be like, oh, I'm an atheist. I don't believe anything is true. I tried, but God would never let me go. And when we adopted my daughter, the process was really difficult. And every single step where I'd start to feel like this is never going to happen, I would say, you know what, Lord, this is up to you. Can I just surrender this? And the next day that door would open. So that's when I started realizing that God was not just this fictional person I had learned when I was a little kid, but he was real and active and in my life and in such a tangible way that I couldn't deny it. And then parenting, I'm sure you've experienced this too, Sarah, where all of a sudden you understand unconditional love and rules. So my daughter was 2 and maybe 3, but little. And she was running around the backyard and jumped off the swing set and came running to me to tell me, of course, some amazing thing that she had just had to share with me right that second. And then turned to run back to the swing set. And the swing was still swinging. But she was looking at me and not where she was going. And I saw that swing was going to make contact with her head. And I yelled her name and she looked at me like, what? As the swing hit her in the head. And I just thought, okay, God, how many times has that been me? How many times have you said, here are my rules, here are my guidelines, watch out. And I ran head first right into that swing. And that's when I kind of got it. Mm-hmm. And even though I'd already started writing some parenting stuff, that was the moment that God was like, okay, but if you're going to write about me, you need to know me. Yeah. And I thought, well, both my parents were Christians. We read the Bible at breakfast every day. My dad was a Christian counselor and in Christian ministry. Don't I know the Bible well enough? And he was kind of like, no, not even close.
And you'll never know enough. You'll never get to the end of knowledge and be like, okay, now I'm perfect. Now I know it all.
Right. But you should at least get to the starting place. And I hadn't really gotten to a place where I'd read the whole Bible and really knew it, at least on a surface level, to say, this is how all the pieces fit together and this is what this is doing. And so I read it 3 times in 18 months. And when you are in the Bible that much, it starts to change you. It starts to come out of your mouth. It starts to be the first thought when somebody asks you for advice. It just changes you. And that's kind of where I got into ministry because, at the same time, my late husband was experiencing some doubt. His roommate, he was a soldier. He had gone to Iraq 4 times. And in Iraq, he had seen horrible things. And his roommate was an atheist. Mm-hmm. So he'd had kind of a double whammy to any kind of faith he had. And I don't know how strong it was to start with. But by the time he finished 4 years overseas, he was pretty much an atheist. Waited another year or 2 to really tell me because it started coming out of my mouth. And I started being why I didn't watch this show or didn't like that joke or just the life choices that I was making was such in conflict with the world he finally said, well, I don't believe that, and started throwing these like spiritual grenades at my faith. And he'd throw one at me and I'd go look it up and I'd come back with an answer. And then he'd come up with another one and I'd go look it up. And I finally felt like I was playing spiritual whack-a-mole. And I needed to have answers at the ready for him and for myself, because every objection was like, oh no, is what I believe really true? When he said that the New Testament, we don't even have the originals. How do we know what the originals said? And I don't know. Is everything I believe false? And luckily, God intervened in my Google search and I found Cold Case Christianity and J. Warner Wallace, who answers all the questions that I had. And that took me down the rabbit hole to Gary Habermas and Greg Koukl and Frank Turek and Elisa Childers and Natasha Crane and Mama Bear. And it was just a journey that I'm still on. And that's kind of how I ended up not just a stronger Christian, but into apologetics as well.
Yeah, I was going through kind of a real valley in my life. My mom passed away and I lost my job, and then my youngest started first grade. And so I just found myself every day at home alone, grieving and lonely and trying to God, where are you in this? And why is this going on? And just a lot of time of feeling sorry for myself. But then I think one of God's part of his grace to us is kind of when we're in those valleys is when he speaks to us the loudest. Who was it? I think C.S. Lewis, who said that suffering is God's megaphone or something along those lines.
Something like God whispers to us in our joy and screams to us in our pain. Something like that, like the contrast.
Yeah. I don't want to misquote it, but something along those lines. So it was the same thing that I was just in this valley and grieving and trying. And when my mom passed away, it was very sudden. It was like she had a really bad cough for a couple of weeks, and then one day she was in intensive care, and they're like, "You need to get." Wow. It was crazy. So it was very unexpected, very hard, and so it was just, God, where are you in this? This isn't fair. This doesn't make sense. And then, and in that, I just got hungry for God's word and knew that that's where I needed to look. I could have thrown myself into another job or staying busy or doing a million different things, how people cope with grief. But I'm thankful that God just gave me this hunger for his word. And then also hungry for, like you said, why do I believe what I believe? And then how do we answer these questions? And then is the Bible reliable, and why? All those things. And then I was learning all this stuff, and I was like, I really just want to share all these things God's been teaching me with other people. And I'm sure yours are too. My kids are super curious about everything. They always have all these different questions. And so that's where Mama came. Just I wanted to answer these questions, and I wanted other people to know how to do it too. And not that I'm a genius or a theological expert or anything like that, but I'm like, there's just a lot of us normal moms out there who want to answer these questions, and we want to, I want to help equip other people who are in the same boat. So yeah, I think we have a similar story in that.
I think my daughter was 7 when I was putting her to bed, and she said, "Mom, I have a question. Can you explain the Trinity to me?" And I was like,
"No problem."
Probably not. And I think you just don't want to go to bed. We will definitely tackle that question tomorrow.
Yeah. There was one night, it was just a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, all right, it's getting late. Go to bed, brush your teeth. Come on, let's go. No more stalling. And then I always say, because my son, my oldest, he is the question asker in our house. And I'm like, no more questions. It's time for bed. And he goes, "Mom, what's the meaning of life?" And I was like, and it said, "To glorify God and enjoy him forever. Go to bed." You thought you were going to give me with a hard one, but I'm like, this is what it is, babe. This is what it's about. I think that one's from the Westminster Confession. That's where that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would have probably said 42 from the Douglas Adams books. The question. it's called a trilogy, but there's 5 of the books because he just kept writing them. But this idea that the world is a computer and it's solving a problem. And the question was, what's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? And the answer was 42. But they didn't know what the real question was. So it's just snarky British humor, but it's kind of funny. There are nerds out there that will get that.
I'm sure.